What up, everybody? Week 1 is already in the books. Oh, the season's a 16th of the way done. Football, you go too fast. But what a week 1 it was. Let's see who got off to that quick 1-0 start and who's got to play a little catch up. So let's start off with who was the big winner.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up. And they stay there, and they say yeah, and they stay there. Cause all I do is win, win, win. And if you going in, put your hands in the air, make them stay there.
So Stephen Griffith comes out of the gates swinging. He had the high score of the week with 185.9 points, a huge total. Well done. But more importantly, why he is the big winner this week is Coach Griff made all the right moves. It was quite impressive. Let's start off with a start that raised an eyebrow or two with Spencer Ware. Thought to be maybe a questionable move, but he put up 33.9 points, a huge day. And then another move that paid off was Griff reached maybe a little bit in the middle rounds of the draft, taking D'Angelo Williams. I know I have Le'Veon Bell. I was hoping to scoop up D'Angelo late in the draft because I didn't really think anyone would want him because he's just a 3-week rental until my boy gets back. But Griff went up there, got D'Angelo, and it paid off big time because he put up 36.1 points this week. So Griff's running backs went off. Nice job between your receivers who put up big points, your running backs. You had yourself a big day. So Griff, the genius this week, making all the right moves.
Like a chess player, grandmaster, playing against a checkers child.
So poor Drew didn't really have a chance against Griff and that big point total. Drew didn't have a bad week, put up 138.2 points, and that's with a subpar week from his boy Odell, his boy Jordy, and Tom Brady just waiting in the wings and waiting out that suspension. So a nice game by Griff, and the future is still bright for WizWit. So sadly, if there is a big winner of the week, there also has to be a loser of the week.
Cause you had a bad day, you take it one down, you sing a sad song just to turn it around. You say you don't know, you tell me don't lie, you work at a smile and you go for a ride. You have a bad day, the camera don't lie, you're coming back down and you really don't mind. You had a bad day, you had a bad day.
Down goes the champ. So a tough week 1 for Testy Cole, who perhaps might be busy right now polishing his trophy from last year. But what a tough week it was. Not really because Cole made any terrible moves with his roster or anything like that. He still put up 135.9 points, which is a very respectable total. But what makes Cole the loser of the week is this quote from an email he sent me just one day after the draft. Super happy you took a hard line with Shane because, voila, Keenan Allen was available at number 10. Famous last words from our champ because, as many of you know from the Shane keeper debacle, he was very confused about keeper rounds and thought Andrew Luck was a 17th rounder and submitted the wrong one and then wanted to change his keeper selection to Keenan Allen. So, sorry, Cole, that's on me. If I let Shane just pick whichever keeper he wanted, you would not be in this mess right now. So, tough week 1 because Keenan Allen is now out for the year. Cole's first round pick with a torn ACL. Gronk missed week 1 with an injury, which doesn't bode well for a guy with a huge injury history. And, of course, Josh Gordon, his, we'll say, somewhat questionable keeper, is out for the first 4 weeks of the season, and now when he comes back, who even knows who will be throwing him the ball for the Browns because RG3 got roughed up by the Birds. We'll say that's fair to assume for any quarterback who plays the Eagles the rest of the season is they won't make it out alive. So Jay Cutler, you're next Monday night against the Birds. Let's go. So Stephen Cole, a tough week 1, but who knows? Maybe you can work some magic. After all, you are the champ. I wouldn't doubt it. Meanwhile, Mike Melson, his opponent, this week. A great week with points up and down. Actually, quarterback, running back, and wide receiver is actually pretty spread out. Everyone hitting double digits. So Mike Melson could have some staying power in the top of the standings. So quite a matchup this week, and Stephen Cole ran into some tough luck. All right, so let's quickly look at the other three matchups. I'm going to try a slightly new format to try to streamline and make it a little bit faster. So here we go. Let's see the rest of the action. First up, we got Pat and Brown to the crown against the Commish and Fly Hard to Fly Harder. And Pat, the #1 team in the rankings to start the season, had a close matchup this week. It was neck and neck with us going pretty much all weekend until the Monday night games. And Pat needed a big performance from Antonio Brown, and of course he did. So if Antonio had a normal human wide receiver performance and only got 15 or 20 points, Flyhard would have gotten the win. But what do you know? He drops 120 yards and 2 tutties and 33.6 points on me. But Flyhard has reason for optimism, because when you look at the scores on the left, we know for a fact that Carson Wentz is already a better NFL quarterback than Russell Wilson and can beat Russell Wilson in anything. So that is some good news. Being a keeper league, Carson Wentz, that 17th round rookie, putting up 19.2 points in his pro debut and a soon-to-be Super Bowl MVP more than likely. So still a promising week for Fly Hard 2, but Pat gets the nice win. All right, next up, we got John Fitzsimmons and Rise and Shine Mr. Freeman against Ben Weeks and La Liga Campeones. And John Fitzsimmons put up the #2 score this week with some huge performances from A.J. Green and C.J. Anderson. And that has to feel good, because those were 2 draft picks that, maybe raised a couple eyebrows, but they put up some giant points, and Johnny Fitz has to feel pretty vindicated. And then Ben sadly had the low score of the week with a huge letdown from his running backs, Todd Gurley especially, with that 5.2 points. But that's mostly because the Rams have no threat of a throwing offense, and they're just going to stack the box with 10 people against Todd Gurley. So Ben had a rough week in fantasy, and on top of that, this happened.
And the kick is no good.
I'm sorry, Ben. I didn't mean to hurt you. This is a recap video, and I got to recap everything, including the Super Bowl rematch. So it was a tough week all around. But really the only problem for Ben was his running backs. And if they turn it around, he'll be in good shape. And the same goes for his Panthers. They'll be in good shape too. It's just week 1. So a pretty lopsided matchup here. John Fitzsimmons on the board 1-0. And finally, we got the shocker of the week. Greg Bernardi and Danny Melson's Achilles heel against John Fornecka, a.k.a. Big Time, and Gimme the Loot. And Greg freaking Bernardi gets the win. But what else do you expect? Let's look at his roster of blue chip studs like Theo Riddick and Julius Thomas. Of course they're going to put up big points. So, Greg, I might need to give you Shane's number so you can call him up and thank him for leaving you such a solid team. And that first round keeper of Andrew Luck, maybe Shane knew what he was doing all along, not keeping Keenan Allen with his busted ACL and keeping instead Andrew Luck with his big 34.5 points. So John had still an okay week. He sadly tried to make a comeback in the Sunday night game, but his Cardinals came up just short, and it was a little too much to overcome. That 1.8 points from his #1 pick, Des Bryant, not quite enough. So a close matchup, and the team that many fantasy experts worldwide predicted would go winless is now 1-0. Nice job, Greg. All right, there you have it. If you got a win, I'm sure it's nice to start 1-0 and get on the board, and I'm sure you're probably feeling pretty good right now.
I'm the king of the world!
And if you got a loss this week, it's only week 1. The season is young. Let's not hit the panic button just yet.
We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've We've come too far. There's too much to lose. We've got to just keep our composure.
Good news is we only got 2 days to wait till more football. Thursday night games coming up. So set those lineups. Until next time, everybody.